everyone. It is 7 o'clock and time for the USD 290 School District Board meeting to get underway. Yeehaw. With 7 members present. We need to start by approving the agenda and the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented, as well as item number 3, the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
And are we missing some minutes?
Are we missing them?
The Friday meeting?
That's March.
Oh, was that in March?
That was
Okay.
March
Yeah.
1.
March 1.
Okay.
Getting ahead of yourself
Yeah.
or behind yourself or something.
Okay.
But shouldn't we go ahead and, well,
We do that next,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but then we are in March, and this is the first meeting in March.
but in April,
Yeah. Do the
You
March.
approve them.
That's
You
right.
approve them at the end of the month,
Why don't we prove,
for the
okay.
first,
or the first of the month for the previous month.
yes.
Yeah.
Teresa's on it, I tell you. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. 5. Any opposed? Okay. All right. 7-0. Comments from the public. Teresa? Okay. Section 5. We have with us Jeff Seymour from the Franklin County Development Council. For those of us who are old, it's hard to change from OFCED to FCDC, but
Right, and I
trying.
understand, and we appreciate that. It's kind of a precursor to this conversation. We have had a lot of changes at the chamber, formerly OFCED office. I'm now full-time FCDC director, and John Cohen is the full-time chamber director. And today, really, the conversation is about our work with the City of Ottawa to do a tax abatement for ATC truck covers, which took over a former Kendall Air property in 2011, and just kind of bring you up to speed on that conversation so you would know. I will give this precursor too, we have had a conversation with the Tax Abatement Review Committee. At that time, Dean did sit on that conversation, and in particular with some of the changes taking place, thought it was appropriate to come and kind of present where we were today so you would know, and just kind of talk through the issue a little bit if necessary. Really where we're at is we have tentatively struck a similar deal to the Monoflow abatement, which was Monoflow International, which took over the main Kendall Air building last year in 2012. The structure for this abatement is a 65% gross abatement, 53% net, with a 12% pilot payment going back to the Development Council for future economic development projects. So in structure, really similar to, like I said, the Monoflow abatement, except that it has a slightly larger pilot payment, which is good for us in that we continue to work with local companies to build those economic development reserve funds that we're in need of to be competitive with other regions. I will tell you there is one slight difference. In this abatement structure, ATC would receive a 2-year 100% abatement up front and then receive a gradual reduction in that abatement down to a 10-year, well, on year 10, a 10% gross abatement. And the same would go with their pilot payment, that first 2 years there'd be no pilot payment, third year a 10% pilot payment, and it would ratchet up to 2 100% payments in years 9 and 10. So the reason for that is that when ATC moved to Ottawa, they had experienced a fire loss at their former location, and just to give them a little bit better cash flow up front, that's why we were able to work with them on this particular deal. I will tell you that because of this deal and just kind of working through this process, we did do several renditions of the cost benefit analysis with the state to make sure that all of the entities that were involved in the abatement did have a greater net benefit than the payout. I will tell you, for the school district, you have a 1.49 cost benefit analysis ratio, which means that for every $1 given up from the onset of the abatement, you get $1.49 back in the long run. So overall, structure-wise, a good deal for the school district and a good deal for really all the entities involved. So My goal, like I said, is just to kind of be here, give you an update on that process, and answer any questions that you may have about where we stand.
The building that they're, is that the one that they're in now?
Yeah, it's the one that's on the back corner of the industrial park.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that's industrial. I think it's Industrial Boulevard, kind of tucked back behind Select Steel.
Yep.
Yeah.
How many employees do they have?
Currently, they have approximately 47. The goal that they've put on paper is in 5 years that they would have 65 employees. In year 10, have 90 employees. And I will tell you that one thing to note on the abatement structure, year 1 in this structure is actually taxes for year 12, so which would be paid in the first quarter of 13. So really, in the big scheme of things, you're talking about 1 year of additional 100% abatement. So, and we worked with the county on that.
And what's the time frame to get the documents, so don't we have to approve it?
Really, honestly, you don't, because you have already gone through the abatement review committee, which is where the school district sits down through your superintendent to kind of voice your opinion about the subject. Like I said, really with the transition, though, we felt it was important to come and present it and let you sit down and discuss, since Brian hadn't had a chance to be part of that particular conversation. I will tell you that in visiting with Dean about it, he was supportive, and really no structural changes were requested from him. More just an explanation like I'm giving to you tonight.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Thanks, Jeff.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
Moving on to section 5.02. Doug is with us from KASB. And we're going to discuss the superintendent search. That's all right. It's okay.
We're going to pass around a few documents to you initially. And while we're waiting for those to go around, I guess I should congratulate you on your success this past weekend at Salina. You were all over the Topeka newspaper, and tomorrow night I'm working at Wamego. And Wamego had won the women's.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't think I had anything to do with it, but I'm certainly willing to take any credit anyone's willing to share.
Well, next year, you'll come back again, right before, if you're going to do that.
Well, I know you guys have worked very hard to get there. The booklet we've passed out to you is basically the soup search process. And as I visited and prepared to come, I wanted to make sure that I had a chance to walk you through what we do in a soup search and see if I could answer any questions. The first page simply is an introduction that talks about why it is so important that you go through a good process to ensure that you find the right candidate. You'll see on the right-hand side, it talks about all the reasons that you should use us. The truth is, we've done a lot of superintendent searches around the state. This year, we've done 17 already, so it's been a busy year. If you continue to leaf through that, there's a map that shows some of the places we've done them throughout the state. We've done several searches this year of districts similar to your size. We've just completed Andover. We've done Bonner Springs, Parsons, Labette. So those would be districts about the same size as Ottawa. Of course, since it's also a promotional brochure that talks a little bit about what some of the other people indicated, how we do when we go through the process. There's some pages that talk about our search team. Some of you may know Dr. Heim. He is the executive director. He's involved with the search process as well. When we do a search, it's not just one person. One person generally oversees it, but everybody is involved within the team. So there's 5 people that primarily do our soup searches. And then if you'll leaf through the pages after the pictures of our staff, it talks about the search process itself. I'll try to walk you through this and answer any questions you might have. I would tell you what we always tell all boards is the first thing you want to do is to look internal. If you have internal candidates, that's always a good place to start. If you've decided that you may want to do that and pursue and combine with a search, that's something that happens as well. At this time of the year, something you may want to consider is to look for an interim to come in and complete next year for you. There's a lot of advantage to having an interim if you decide to go outside. They can continue on the path or the vision that you're currently on. Oftentimes a quality interim will come in, do such a good job, they stay for multiple years. And then you can do a full search. Starting at this time of the year, I would tell you the candidate pool is reduced because it's late in the year for someone to leave their job and move to another position. But it's not that it doesn't happen, it does all around the state. We've done searches, full searches, as late as April in the past. So it's not like it can't be done, but it's something I want you to at least think about. The process that we go through is when we come to you, we will spend a day walking you through with a search handbook that has everything that you need to walk through from day one to the interview process. We will come and spend a day in the district visiting with the community, with staff, classified staff. We'll find out all the characteristics that the board is looking for in their new superintendent. We will spend time with you that evening as well, going through the process with you to determine what you're looking for. We will post the position online, which means it goes out basically to 50 states because we have 49 other sister organizations that access our web. So that's a good thing. We have people apply for positions from Arizona, Minnesota, Oklahoma, through basically the nation there you could get applicants from. When we do that, basically it's an online process. So all the searches come to us online where we keep them. They are our applications for you, and then ultimately they're your applications. We don't keep any of them because all the people that apply, they're applying for your position, so they all belong to you. So when we come in and spend an evening with you making recommendations and screening, when we leave that night, all the applications belong to you and they stay with you. After we've met with your community members, after we've met with the board to determine what you're looking for, we go through the process of screening and vetting. We make lots of calls, follow up on lots of paperwork, and then we will come back and sit down with you on an evening of your choice, and we just walk through that day. We spend the day in the district screening, and that evening we spend time with you, sharing with you the strengths of the candidates that we recommend, and at that point we turn the interview process over to you. Our book includes interview questions to ask, questions not to ask. It has letters. It's basically the entire packet for you from start to finish, and that's it's worked very effectively for many years. What questions do you have of me?
Beginning to end, what's the process?
Pardon me?
Beginning to end, what's the process take? Timeline?
If we were doing this in October, we would probably go 8 weeks. If we decide to do this, a full search at this point, you can do that. You could probably do that in a crunched area. I would guess 4 to 5 weeks would be your timelines. We can post the opening as soon as you tell us to post it, which could be as of tomorrow. But as far as the timelines to give people an opportunity to apply, it will be spring break throughout the state, so there will be people who have some time to sit down and fill out the forms and go through the process. But it would be, I would guess you'd want to go 4 to 6 weeks, or 4 to 5 weeks. So it is the 11th of March, so you're looking at having a chance to have some paperwork by mid-April to go ahead and start interviewing.
Is there ever a time when we say a full search, and then halfway through that we decide this is not really working, maybe we should go to an interim? Does that ever happen?
Yes, it does happen. And matter of fact, on occasion, you could do the full search and find out that you didn't get the candidate pool that you were comfortable with, and then you could go ahead and choose to find an interim to serve that year and then start the process over in the fall. That happens on occasion.
Other questions?
What is this process from KSB? What's it going to cost the district?
The last page on the back shows the cost. Depending on your district size, I would believe are you going to fall into your FTE is what right now?
Which FTE are we talking
2,400.
about?
Full-time equivalency, that FTE. That's the only one we can talk about. And what are you right now?
20.
So you would fall into that third range, so the search process would be $5,000 for the search.
And that's just to bring candidates to the table.
That's to bring candidates to the table, vetted, ready for you to interview.
References checked and all that.
Yes. Background checks, that process. If you want us to shorten the search, we can take some time off simply because we're going to be doing a shorter search.
Who are your biggest competitors?
The biggest competitor right now, there's Southwest Kansas has done 2 searches this year. Mac and Jack, I don't know if McPherson and Jacobson has done 2 searches this year in Kansas. Pittsburgh State has done 1 in that area, and then there's I think there's been 6 or 7 have done their own because they had internal candidates.
Okay, all right. Other questions?
Is this something we need to act on tonight, or do we get it?
Well, I would think so. I mean, we need to get, if we're going to get moving on it, and try to start with the process. I mean,
We need to talk about it.
The only thing that I would need to know from you tonight is and you don't need to do it while I'm right here in front of you, you'll need to decide if you'd like to use us as your search firm. We will post this tomorrow at your request, no matter who does your search, because we work for school boards. So we will get this posted for you as soon as you tell us to post it. But if you do, I would need to know a closing date to decide when you want the last, so we can get that listed.
I'm very comfortable with KSB. We used the other firm the last time, and I think in the short time frame, as Marge, I think you asked the question, is what happens if we go into interim, and I think, Bill, you asked the length of time right now. I would suggest we stay with KSB because of the knowledge base and the support.
I would agree with that. I've been very pleased with how professionally they've dealt with all of us.
The one question is, in this process, as we go through it, can we as a board get a list of everyone that did apply?
You will have a list of everyone that applied, and you'll have a list of all the applicants will be yours, but we'll bring that to you on the day of the screening. And people often ask that question, which is the reason we protect that is because the privacy piece is so important to the candidates as well. Because if they think their name is going to be out there before they know if they're a true contender, they're afraid to take that risk. So the privacy piece is really important.
Sure.
It
We
can
must say
cut-
school business and hiring is a
Yeah,
little bit-
you're in the same
Had that
shoes.
discussion.
I bet you've been in those same shoes.
Other questions?
So then
Do
so tonight we would need to make a decision on going forward with KASB, and then we also need to make a decision about how long a search is going to take, with the closing date of the search, of the application process,
Right.
correct?
About 2
All I
weeks.
need to know tonight when I leave is the date you want to close it. We will post it, and if you want us to do it, then you let us know. But I'm not going to stand here and say, you need to make that decision this
What is
night.
reasonable and customary at this time of year to make it, how far out would you recommend the closing date be?
I would guess you would probably be better off if you set it at April 15th. That would be 4.5 weeks. That's the midpoint of that month. That would give you a chance to begin that process by the end of April, and you could actually have found the right candidate by your May board meetings.
Because in actuality, even if we post it tonight, we still need to prepare the brochure and our facts.
Right,
Still
and
need to do a
we
fact.
help you prepare a brochure. You may already have a brochure that we would put together and use. And your best bet will be obviously the online process. Most of our candidates, by far the majority, find their contact on the web. They turn to KSB If you go to leadership service, superintendent openings, and that's where everybody who looks for those positions.
You'll
do.
make us look the best.
Yes.
Now, one question on timing. So let's say we make the motion, we approve for the search, we post it tomorrow. How quick do you turn on the internet portal, even though we might not have all the facts, all the information about the district, this USD 290 superintendent position, do you go ahead and turn on the portal?
That starts all at the same time.
Okay. So that does speed up the process.
It links to Kansas Jobs immediately as well, KSDE site, and the application process is open literally at the same time.
Dennis, we've been updating the information we found from the board packet from the last search. So
Right.
most of it is updated. We're pretty close.
They started last week working on that. Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we approve KASB as our go-to for the superintendent search.
Second.
So motion by Brian, seconded by David to approve KSB as our search firm. Any further discussion?
Is there any prompt pay discounts?
Pardon me?
Prompt pay discounts? Credit card?
We will work with you.
You got one?
We
How about a
want you,
military discount?
the interesting piece, we don't do every search, but we work for every board. So we will be here throughout the
So if you
process.
take our bank card, we can get a 1% back. Just asking.
Is the date April 15th a good date for the board?
Sure.
Good closing date?
Because first of all, we still got spring breaks for everybody the next 2 weeks, so some people might already have
Absolutely.
plans to apply, so.
I will contact Brian or Teresa to find a date to come visit with your community members to do characteristics.
Okay.
And we will need the board here that evening for about an hour to walk. I will give you your handbooks, walk you through the handbooks, get your characteristics so that you'll be comfortable in the process. And then you'll still have about two weeks or so to get ready, get lined up.
All right.
What day of the week's the 15th?
What
Monday
day of
the
week is it?
15th.
It's a Monday.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0.
Thank
One last question before you go. Can we request everything be submitted online, or do we have to worry about somebody hand delivering a hard copy?
Everything will be online. I will be the lead on this, but remember, we all work on them.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, feel free to contact me or what you need.
Thank you.
Okay.
Didn't mean to take up too much of your
You're
meeting.
fine.
It was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Good to have you with us. 5.03, presentation by Marcia Servetus.
Sorry.
Thank you for having me tonight. Hope you enjoyed your meal. It was kind of a
Thank you for
quick,
coming.
condensed thing of what we had for the high school and what we do at the elementary. So I hope you got somewhat of an idea of what it is that we do. So, get this on here.
Marcia, for the benefit of the recording as well as those in the audience that may not be
Stay
able
over
to.
here?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did everyone get a chance to see the lunch trays that we had out? Okay,
Yep.
so you could see the difference in the serving sizes, so you see that there's not those big differences that we're talking about.
There you go.
As we face technical
Brian's
difficulties.
been thinking. There we go.
I've got this.
So how long has Chartwell's been with the district, or part of the district, or whatever?
Chartwell's has been here since Chartwell's started, and I don't remember what year that is, 1997?
Oh, my.
So before that, we were American Foods, which was acquired by DACA, and DACA became Chartwell's. And so we've had a management company here at Ottawa for 30-plus years. So I started with Service Master in 1989. So I've been here almost 24 years now. It'll be Ottawa School District.
You started when you were 12.
No. Actually, I was a stay-at-home mother who decided I wanted to buy a van and haul the kids around, and I told Jerry I was going to work, so I ended up in the kitchen and moved into management.
It's on your right side.
Well, every so many years, every 3 years, I guess?
5.
5 years.
Every 5 years.
How time flies when we're having fun.
Every 5
5 years, we go through the process of looking at the contract
Yes.
and sending out requests for proposals for food service companies, and this is the year that that is up.
Yes.
So
Could we clarify that, though? Could you go over what our contract really is? It's not 5 years, it's a certain
Okay.
period with renewals.
Our contract is a 5-year contract, but they have the 1 year, and then you have 4 one-year renewals with
Right.
that. And so each of those years, what happens is the state puts out a cost of living increase, and they tell us, you know, that's what we ask for our increase, then that's what we're allowed. And so then that's what those addendums are each year. Now, each year, you as the board of the school district does have the right to negotiate those addendums at any time. So,
Thanks for that clarification, because I
Sure.
think that's something as a board needed to understand.
okay,
We had opportunities in those one-year successions to
Yes.
discuss.
yes. Okay, so I think I've got my PowerPoint here now. Tonight, what I want to do is just talk to you about some of the accomplishments that we've made over the last couple of years and share some of those things with you, and then talk a little bit about those regulations and things as well. So if you'd move on. One of the accomplishments that I think is it was very exciting. I mean, this is personal, but it's with the company, and I think this is one of the things that a company can offer you, is the training that they give me. And I was nominated this year to be a part of what they call Meridian Project Readiness, which is a year-long program which I've been in Harvard Mentor Manage classes. I've done Developing Dynamic Leadership, and I'm in the middle of Profit Improvement Method. And these are just a few of the training programs that they give us throughout. As a stay-at-home mom, when I started out, there's no way that I could have been in this position. I graduated high school. I did not go on to college. I thought it was more important to get married. So I got married, and
Well, knowing Jerry, I can understand that.
yes, that was it. Love at first sight.
Yeah.
Much to my parents' horror at the time, because it was 18 when I got married. But anyway, long story there. I'm in food service now. I enjoy it very much. I spend a lot of time working around food and whatever. So anyway, I feel very fortunate that I'm with a company that has given me the training and the tools to be able to do the things that we can do for you. One of the things is when we have health inspections, we've been able to pass our health inspections with not any problems. In fact, I had a health inspector offer me a job one time. Our yearly state audits, when the state comes and goes to look at our menus and how we're serving and whatever, we don't have any problems with those. Those are usually just, maybe I have to tweak a little recipe, ingredient, or something like that, but we've done well there. This year, we had the 6 Sense certification, which was with the new USDA regulations. The government offered 6 cents. And the reason that they offered that was because that the fruit and vegetable servings were going to increase a lot. They increased at the grade schools. They went from 1/4 a cup to 1/2 a cup. At middle school, they went from 1/4 a cup to 1/2 a cup to 3/4 of a cup, and those 1/4 cups went to a full cup of fruit and vegetable at the high school. So there was a huge increase in food costs, let alone you're adding whole grains and all the other things that you're trying to add to your menus now, and it's very expensive. So they offered 6 cents to those districts that wanted to be certified. And in that process, because of that, then they asked that you go through a very long process of proving that you were going to meet their regulations and their requirements. We have been approved over the telephone I don't have anything in writing yet, but we have met that approval. So that was something that we wanted to make sure that we did for this district.
Now, what time is the 6 cents approved from? Like
October
July 1?
1st.
October 1st?
It goes back retro to October 1st
Of
this year.
12?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, okay, we can go to the next one. One of the things that we've done is school gardens, and I don't know how many of you have seen our gardens or not. I like to work in the gardens, so I guess that was kind of neat. When Chartwell's had a program for school gardens, I was ready to jump on that because I thought it was an opportunity to try to get the kids involved and put their hands on it, because I think when kids are involved with something, they have more interest in it. And so I thought that was one of the ways, if we're going to start promoting healthier eating, that was one of the ways that we could get to the kids. We started out with the picture down in the corner where the trellises are, with just that area for a garden. We've increased over to the side where you see the tires. That's our herb garden. And we've had the shops class build us raised beds. We've been able to buy trellises. We've done a lot of things. If you want to move on to the next one. Whoops, there you go. So because of that, we've got a lot of other ideas going on with our gardens now. We've had so much community support. We were able to get a $5,000 grant from American Eagle. You know, I talked to you before about wanting a greenhouse. That's going to be taking place. So right now we're talking with the after-school students. We're going to be creating a water feature that's going to have a gnome village in it in the planter outside of Garfield. We're going to be working with the students to do that. We are putting raised bed gardens at Eugene Field, Lincoln, and the middle school. Again, the after-school students are going to work with us on that. This last year, I had a student who helped in the garden, and I don't have a picture of it, but she made a beautiful wooden log that has Fresh Taste Garden on it that she carved for her Girl Scout project. Had another young man put up a storage shed for us for his Eagle Scout project, and he also helped lay some sprinkling systems so we could take care of that. And then we're also, this year we've got Julia Burrows is going to work in the garden, and she's going to make ID cards so that when the kids come, they can go through and see what the plants are and learn a little bit about them. We have Trey Cohen's foods classes use our garden quite a bit, especially the herbs, but the other things too. So they get out and they plant, they help take care of things. So that's fun for us to see, and the kids remember it when they go on to the lunchroom. Environments was a big program for Chartwells that we had, and it was ahead of just a little bit about a bit of the USDA regulations. And we saw that we thought it was best for our kids and our students that we wanted to start serving healthier meals, and we increased those fruit and vegetable bars. At the high school, we had 3 lines before, and one of those was just an a la carte line that was just sandwiches. It was cash only. It segregated our students. If they didn't have the cash on them, they weren't able to buy the sandwiches. We've increased our lines to, we have 13 different meal choices now on the pizza line. We have 3 different choices of pizza or stromboli or some such a thing in a crust every day. We have outtakes, which has a salad meal or a wrap in it every day. We have play bowls, which today play bowls would have been the taco, the Mexican meal. Toast Post will have 2 hot panini sandwiches on there every day, and Grab a Stack, we have 3 hot sandwiches on there every day, and Ready Set Deli, they can go there and get their taste of Subway. They can pick their own breads and meats and cheeses and fresh toppings. And we have the Extra Bar, which is the fruits and vegetables, so they have many, many choices. And what we did with that is every single one of those lines is a reimbursable line. So every student at Ottawa High School can go through that line, and nobody has to feel like, worry about if they're going to have enough money. It doesn't matter. Nobody knows if they're free, reduced, full paid. It doesn't matter. Anybody can get any lunch any day. So not that we don't still sell a la carte items, we do, but anyone can still purchase those with cash, but that way it's not segregated. Everyone can have all choices. These are just a few examples of some of the things that we have. some pictures of it, our crust and stuff, and our friendly Jody. Middle school, this year, we decided that it was successful enough at the high school that we wanted to add that to the middle school. We added 2 new reimbursable lines there, so we have Sizzle, which is the hot line, which is like our Play Bowls, which was the pizza, or not the pizza, the taco bar today. We have Bake, which we have 2 different choices of pizza there every day, and we have Taste, which is 2 hot sandwiches there every day, and we have the chef salad, and we have a wrap meal there as well, and the fruit and veggie bar. Those lines are all also reimbursable, so all of our middle school students have that choice that they can get any meal anytime and don't have to worry. This is what the cafeteria looked like before we did the environments. And we went in, we painted, we've added all those fruits and vegetables, and that's a look of what it looks like today. So we're pretty excited about that, and the kids were too when they came in to see it, even though I gave Daryl Moore a heart attack when he saw our orange wall. Another program that we have that Chartwell's offers is Chefs to Schools. And this is really exciting program. The kids get so excited to have a chef come into the classroom or into the lunchroom and work with them. And they're just quite impressed with the chef coat and the hat and whatever. We have a chef, Jim Tinkin, who is with Morrison, who's a sector of Compass Group, that comes down, and he's worked with our culinary classes with Cherry Cohen's competitive team. He's gone to the foods classes at the middle school and done some demonstrations and worked with them. He's gone to 2 of our elementary schools now, and we've done Fun Fruit. So he's talked to the kids about how to cut the fruits and vegetables up, and then they got to come up and get whatever they wanted, and they got to create some funny faces on their plates, which I'll have a picture in a little bit. We also had a regional chef, Ralph Garcia from Chartwell's, come spend a couple days and work with my staff and try to sharpen their techniques and help them with some things. We also have student chef Samantha Hepley, who's been coming in and working in the kitchen, learning some things about it, and as well as we have another program called Simply Good, and we do a lot of food focuses on there. She did one project already that was with herbs, and she did a taste, touch, and smell, and the kids got to go through and see if they could identify what herbs were in the bag, or we had potatoes that day seasoned with the different herbs, and they tried to guess what it was, and they had a lot of fun with that. Tomorrow she's going to be at Lincoln and do a little thing on citrus fruits.
What's cruciferous?
Like broccoli. I know, I'm learning some of these things too. Also, our head cook, Jody Harrell's done a project there at the middle school, and she's the one that worked with the cruciferous vegetables, and she showed them some things you could do with those. We actually did mashed cauliflower with a little bit of cheese in it, and the kids thought it was mashed potatoes, pretty much, several of them. So there's just a few examples of the kids. There's some plates that they designed down the side of the thing there with their fruits and vegetables. And the fun thing about that was they used a lot of things they didn't really maybe know what they were or they'd never had before, but when they got done, everybody ate their plate. Everybody ate what was on there. So they ate some things they don't usually eat. With the regulations this year, we've had lots of regulations. Let's see, which one? Go back to the
Calorie?
Yeah.
First one.
Calorie ranges were one of the things that they changed this year for regulations. We have guidelines that we have to, ranges that we have to fall in. So that made things a little more complicated this year. I talked about the fruit and vegetable serving sizes changing. The grains changed for elementary, used to be unlimited grains. Now we're looking at 8 to 9 at the elementary, 9 to 10 at middle school, 10 to 12 at the high school. Makes that a bit of a challenge. We've got the same thing with meat alternates, and then we have to stay under the saturated fat. So those are just some of the guidelines that we had to fall under.
8 to 10 that you're talking about in grains, is that grams?
Yes. And so, like, if you wanted to serve a sandwich every day at the elementary age, if you followed regulations right now, you couldn't, because most of those are 2 grams in a in a bun or a sandwich or whatever.
So they've got to be
They've
higher than
loosened,
that.
they need to be lower.
Oh, lower.
Because
Okay.
if you had a sandwich every day, that would be 10 grams for the week. So you couldn't do that at the elementary age. Now, they've loosened those a little bit because of a lot of everyone being upset about this. The problem is that I think they're going right back in full force in August, so it's kind of crazy to have them loosen them up and take it back away. So we've kind of tried to stick to it as close as we can.
Is that a reduction from previous years in the total calories, or is that the same, or?
Elementary, the calories are probably down a little bit. High school, they're up a little bit. We just had, you had a minimum you had to meet before, and it never mattered how far you went over. So when we did nutritional analysis before, and we didn't have any problems meeting them, now it's a little more challenging,
Sure.
you know, to get in those ranges.
Yeah.
So,
Believe it.
okay. So meeting the certification was a scary thing, and I talked about that a little bit. But one of the things that we were lucky enough was Chartwell's invested a lot of money with their dietitians. They came up with menu templates and wanted to make sure that we met those certifications, and they provided us a lot of help because we wanted to make sure that we did meet those certifications. Some of the misconceptions about meals this year, some people had the idea that we were just doing this for budget cuts or the food cost was higher. And as you saw on their plates, that wasn't the case. The serving sizes are actually bigger. Students not getting enough to eat. Everybody heard about the video on YouTube. Again, it depends on what they choose. They have to take a fruit or a vegetable. They have to have a half a cup of fruit or vegetable on their plate to be reimbursable. But it didn't mean they couldn't take all the other things to go along with it. They could have a very full tray if they choose to take those things. So many of the things that one of the other things is some of the things I've seen also, a lot of the other schools, instead of trying to meet the regulations, they've just gone a la carte. And we don't feel like they're trying to think about what's best for their students, what's the healthiest, what are the best choices for them. So in our eyes, we've tried to do what we thought was the right thing to do for the students. We are your food service, and if you want things done a different way, those are things that we could talk about. But one of the things that we did to try to inform people about the meal requirements is I was at an administrators meeting and talked to all of the administrators. We've been meeting with the students. I talked to one of the community college classes at Neosho. We've put information on the line. I've tried to give my staff extra training, and we put signage out there to help the students and the staff know what the reimbursable meal is so that they can understand that. And of course, with the regulations, there's changes coming, and there's going to be more regulations next year. They're going to be even stiffer. They're going to look at breakfast, and we don't know what goes. This is one of the signs. This is just an example of what we have to help them understand that they need to make sure they have that fruit or vegetable when they choose their meal. So, that makes sense?
So the second one is broccoli, fruit, and a milk?
And that in the state could be a reimbursable meal. Because you have to take 3 of 5 items, because now it's food-based where they look at you as grain, fruit, vegetable, meat alternate, and milk.
So then with the deli bar, and you can have a deli with the number of grains you can't have a sandwich every day.
We can at the high school. That we're okay with those grains. Middle school we can, high school we can. We just couldn't do it at the grade schools. And a lot of times the fun lunches they were a sandwich because
Yeah, the pizza pack.
and the little kids that's what they're comfortable with. That's what they're used to, and it's easy for them. So
Growing age, why are they against the sandwiches every day? Because a lot of people might pack.
it's not that they're against the sandwiches. It was just they were trying to control the number of grains. So that may have been a mistake they made. So I think we've done a lot of things this year. We're excited about the things that we've done. I appreciate very much being able to work with a company that can give me the tools to do this for you. But again, please understand, no matter what, Chartwells and I are your food service company. So if there are things that you want done, we're here to do those for you because we are yours. So there aren't any roadblocks other than USDA that are in our way. You know, if there's things that you need out there, you just need to let us know, and we'll be happy to see what we can do about those things. So if you have any questions.
Questions from anyone?
Kind of help clear some things up.
Okay, good,
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good old-fashioned teamwork.
All right. Good job. Moving on to section 5.04, board reports. Marge?
Yes. Actually, I have two reports, ORC, but in February and March, I will, because they met early this time, I will combine those two. In February, there was the Spirit Award winner for the winter sports, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, I believe. I'm not sure what groups. Positive attitude, helpfulness, good sportsmanship, and a girl, Brenna Davidson and Trey Barnes were the winners for that. And they got a nice trophy, and that was very nice for them.
Awesome.
One of the things that they have been discussing for several months was the fact that parents often leave their kids at ORC, at the swimming pool, small children, and they see them at the end of the swimming pool time or when it closes, and that's become a real problem with a 7, 8-year-old taking care of a 4 or 5-year-old for the afternoon. That's getting to be a real problem. So what they have voted just the other day to limit you can't be alone at an ORC place unless you are 6th grade. Now they are considering when a 5th grader is promoted to 6th grade in May, that child then for that summer is 6th grade. And so they are asking ways to let the public know. They are going to do it in various ways, advertising in various ways. I thought maybe they could do it some way through the school system, that last note that goes home, that last paper, maybe to add that there so they will know. I know they are looking forward to having quite a battle for a while because it's sort of been just a build-up of that's what they do. And they just leave their kids, and sometimes the kids are there, they don't know their phone number, they don't know their address, they know their mom's name's Mom, and so they have quite a problem. So I'm very glad to see them do this. I think it'll, after the bumps are worked out, I think it'll be nice. Another thing they've discussed is the pool hours. They are, somehow I got the brunt of deciding the calendar. I didn't know I decided the calendar by myself, but evidently they think I do. The school calendar and the pool hours and all that is a problem. They lose a lot of money from when we start back to school, like in that Thursday or Friday or whatever, until Labor Day, till they traditionally close. They lose a lot of money. I had that paper and I didn't bring it with me, like $3,000 or so in that length of time. And so they are contemplating, and I think are going to close the weekend after we go to school, I think on Friday, or the tentative calendar is that way, and then I think they will close that weekend and not be open Labor Day. They will still be open for I know the middle school uses it for swimming parties before the start of school, private parties, things like that. But it isn't only the cost, it is also if you go a few days without anyone in the pool, it causes a lot of problems for them. They have to do a lot of man hours to get it back to
From a chemical
chemicals
standpoint.
and all of those other things, much more than I ever dreamed. So that is basically what they're doing. They would love for us to start school after Labor Day, and
Go.
let school out right before Memorial Day, but that's just kind of not the way we do it anymore.
Get her done.
So Marge, if you would have brought up that you were looking at year-round school, they
I
definitely.
did bring that up.
Okay.
I was very popular for a while. So basically, that is the main things that they're working on. Oh, they are working on a, Matt Parenti is working on a intramural volleyball, sort of like a ORC group that they've talked to a lot of people, and they're hoping that that kind of helps fill the need of, I understand now our volleyball in middle school is so many kids, you know, there's so many kids that they just really don't get to play much.
Basketball's the same way.
So anyway, they are working on that, and they are working hard on programming. They have 2 new people, and they're working very hard at, and we're even discussing quilting class that I will teach for youth.
Oh, that'd be
Boys
cool.
and girls, so that, I am looking forward to that. So that basically is my report.
Okay. Any questions from Marge? Has the issue of attendance come up at the meetings?
It has, and it was addressed, I will say, three months ago or so, and it has improved slightly. So,
All right.
because at one point in time, there was enough to meet, but not really enough to decide some really important
Yeah.
financial issues and things like that. This wasn't enough input, so it has been a problem, yes.
Yeah, because they only have a board of 5, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a member or 2 down,
Mhm.
it's not good. Okay. All right.
And I will say a lot of those absences have been job conflicts, you know, out of town for your job, so you can't, you know, things like that, which we have also sometimes.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. All righty. Moving on to section.
I'm sorry,
I'm
I had a board
sorry.
report too, that's right.
Oh, I didn't see your finger.
I went to the Garfield Site Council, it's been a couple weeks ago now, but Garfield, 4th grade this year, is participating in the NAEP testing, which is the nationwide testing that's only certain schools get to do it, and they're actually doing it this year. So that was kind of interesting. State assessments, like everywhere, we're starting up. They were talking about the state assessments, we're getting ready to start. Also talking about the shift to the Common Core. There's going to be changes to math and reading. I thought one thing that was interesting is the transition is going to catch some classes kind of the shaft from it, because it used to be that fractions are taught in 5th grade, and so when they go to Common Core, it's going to start being taught in 4th grade. So the 5th graders who miss out and don't learn in 4th grade and then go to 5th grade, it's going to kind of catch them. So that's kind of an interesting thing about the shift to the Common Core. But it's, they are following Lincoln's model, and they're going to start the Watchdogs program next year. Want to get that up and running for next school year, try to get more fathers involved in the school, and maybe also kind of help with safety. So they're going to start that up. And the last thing is the PTA at Garfield is going to try to do a school carnival this year. It's April the 6th from 9 to noon. So they're hoping that that'll be a good event this year.
Is that Saturday?
I think, yeah, Saturday morning. Yep.
Well, I'm gonna miss that. That's a bummer. Sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
So will that class
your
of
money
5th
anyway.
graders without fractions, will they be half-wits or?
I guess.
All right. Any other reports?
I got just a quick one on negotiations. The meetings, we met again tonight, and they've actually been running really smooth, the first couple of meetings. We prioritized our lists, and we condensed it from 10 each down to 10 total, just because certain things matched up with one another. So it looks like this year is going to be fairly smooth. We have tentatively agreed on the McCrell and Article 21 language. So we're very pleased with that. We're already well ahead of where we were last year.
And we talked about calendar as well.
Yeah, and we've talked about the calendar, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but
All right,
just some good discussions going on in negotiations right now.
good deal. All right, moving on to section, unless somebody else had anything. Sorry, I missed. 5.05, Dr. Kraus.
Okay, a number of things. First, I want to apologize for not getting the material on there earlier. Teresa was at state basketball, and I sent her a panicked note. Couldn't get it on there, and so I sent it to you as an email. The first thing I wanted to visit about a little bit is about the grant program for aspiring and current building principals. There's a 27-page narrative in there, that SLP narrative. I want to condense that down to you into about 30 seconds. Basically, it's a grant administered, or it comes through KSDE using federal funds, and Greenbush is the organization that's been selected in Kansas to administer that. The grants were released in April. Again, as I said, it's for aspiring and current principals. And in order to qualify for the grant, you have to have at least a 20% poverty level in your district, which obviously we meet, and be designated in some aspect as being low performing. Since we were a part of the KLN process a couple of years ago and have a focus school, we meet that criteria as well. The grant pays for everything and has stipends for the participants. Originally it sounded like one of those things, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, but as I've checked into it more deeply, I think it will give us the opportunity to do some things that will enhance Board Goal 10, which is developing leadership for educational excellence. And then we also will have some people who, if they're interested in pursuing a master's degree in administration, will be able to have that paid for if they are accepted into the program. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that, and we'll be talking more about that hopefully and be a recipient of that grant in April. Does anyone have any questions about that grant?
Just in looking at it, it reminds me of the old Teach America grants.
It's fairly similar, I think, in structure. Okay, the second item I wanted to visit with you a little bit about, we talked about the calendar. We'll visit about that further in our executive session on negotiations, but the essence of it is the calendar that the board approved had 181 days. We tentatively agreed to take that back to 179 and to eliminate April 2nd and 3rd.
January 2nd.
Yeah, January 2nd and 3rd, and to make those part of the winter break and start the following Monday. Andy, if you would open up the one that says EF Playground, please.
I don't have any 505.
You don't have 505s. Okay, I guess, yeah.
We've got it on ours.
Y'all have it on there. There's been some talk, it was proposed to Richard Smith that your original playground adoption on January 8th, your approved quote was for $41,356, and there was an itemized list of what that entailed. There's been some interest in adding 2 new basketball goals and changing the structure of a canopy structure. They had a 20 by 20 fabric canopy structure. I think the issue was they found that from November to March they would need to take it down. For instance, this heavy snow we just had would have destroyed the canopy. So they were looking at 3 different options. They're in the middle of that first page: the Cleary Pole Building, a 20 by 20 metal rib, and a 15 by 15 metal rib that would increase the overall cost of the project. And then it would, with the 2 new basketball goals, the maintenance department would take out one of the existing ones and it would just not be used. The second one, they have decided that it could stay where it is and not be in the way of the canopy structure, and then to put in 2 new basketball goals. So they would end up with 3 goals instead of 2 and have a metal structure instead of a fabric canopy of some sort. Any of those options would increase the overall cost. I guess my recommendation to the board would be that you keep the board support at your original figure of $41,356 and have anything additional that they want be paid for by fundraising or some other funding mechanism. My reasoning for that, Andy, I believe you do have under 3.01 financial report, if you would open the one that says capital contingency report. This is a projection of our capital needs. The board's goal all along has been to keep $2 million in the capital outlay fund. Right now, we're currently at $1,846,000, and as you can see, we have an anticipated remaining, or we have a remaining budget of basically $267,000. If we were to spend all of that money that's budgeted, and if you'll see at the bottom of the page, $111,000 plus in proposed expenditures that have not yet been approved, we'd be looking at ending with an ending balance in capital outlay of $1,708,000, basically. Personally, that's a little lower than I'm comfortable with. Obviously, that's your decision, but I would recommend that we do whatever we can to make sure that we end up with at least $1.8 million. I think would be a good point for us to be at. My personal thought would be I'd rather, if we're going to spend some additional monies at Eugene Field, make it for either the fence and or the foyer door and frame, because those are security/safety issues. And I think if you choose to spend more money there, I would recommend it be for that type of expense.
Yeah.
Any questions on playground/capital outlay?
I tend to agree. It wouldn't take long for a new air conditioning unit to wipe out that completely, you know, I mean.
No, I think that's all I had, Susan.
Okay. Any questions for Brian?
Thank you very much.
Huh? Did
You said thank you.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you had a question or something.
Nope.
Sorry. All right. Section 6 is empty. So we can go right on through that to Section 7.
Madam President, I move that the board go into executive session for the purpose of discussing matters related to employer-employee negotiations, whether or not in consultation with a representative or representative of the body, and the board return to open meeting at, what do you think, guys, 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
That'll be plenty.
Plus travel time.
Okay, let's say we'll come back in open session at 8:15
Okay.
in this room. Executive session is required to protect the district's right to confidential of its negotiating position in the public interest, and this is to include Dr. Kraus.
Second.
All right. Moved by David, seconded by Bill to go into executive session. All in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0.
Madam President, we come back into open session.
All right, moved by Dennis, seconded by Brian to come back into open session. All in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0 with March standing firm on the stairs.
Yeah, I can. Madam President, I move that the board go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personal matters for non-elected personnel, and that the board return to open meeting at
Add 5 minutes, whatever you're thinking.
Probably 15. Let's go. We better go 20.
Make it a quarter to.
to return to this open meeting at 8:45 p.m. The executive session is required to protect the privacy interest of an identifiable individual.
Second.
Moved by Brian, seconded by Dennis to go into executive session for personnel.
To include Dr. Kraus.
Are we gonna do
All
the
in favor,
calendar
raise your right
thing?
hand. 7-0. All right.
Student privacy.
Yep.
Yes.
How long, Dr. Gross? How long? Brian, 10?
No, 10 minutes tops.
Madam President, I move that we enter into the executive session for the purpose of discussing matters relating to actions adversely or favorably affecting a person as a student, patient, or resident of a public institution, except for such persons shall have the right for a public hearing if requested by that person. The board returned to the open meeting at 8:55 p.m. in this room. The executive session is required to protect the privacy interests of a student who is identifiable.
Second.
All right. Moved by those two. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, moving on to section 10.
Madam President, we do need to go back up a little bit and do the calendar.
Oh. Yeah, okay, I was going to put them all from all three sessions. Now.
But yeah, let's go ahead. Now's a
Okay,
good time.
go ahead.
Okay.
Calendar.
Madam President, I move that we approve the calendar as tentatively agreed on between the board and the teachers as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by David, seconded by Bill, to approve the calendar. Any discussion?
Thanks for your guys' effort.
Yep. All in favor, raise your right hand. 6, 1. All right, moving on to 10.01.
I don't know.
Me.
Susan.
10.01.
Madam President, I move that we approve the recommendation to uphold the original findings of the student discipline issue.
Second.
Moved by Brian, seconded by Dennis, to approve those findings. All in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0. 10.2.
Madam President, I move that we approve the supplemental contract for Assistant Superintendent for interim superintendent services.
Second.
Motion by Dennis, seconded by Brian, to approve the supplemental contract for Dr. Kraus. All in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0. Oh, Section 11, announcements.
Did we do the student?
Okay, a number of things real quick. I know some of you are involved in these committee meetings. Tomorrow morning, there's a chamber meeting at 7:30, board that I'll be attending. Washburn Career Day is on Wednesday. I'll be at that all day. If you need anything, you can call my cell or send me an email. That evening at 6:30 p.m. between 2nd and 3rd Streets on Main Street, I believe this is right, Dr. Cobbs, the high school administration has arranged for a pep rally to celebrate the success of the boys basketball team. Are you drawing in other groups too, or is it, well, that one's?
Basketball, our band will be there, and our cheer and dance will be there as well. So we'll have a stage area for the boys, and then Coach McCown will make some comments, and then starting at 7 o'clock, we'll have the coaches show with Coco. And while Coach McCown and Coco are doing that, they'll be expressed over the loudspeakers. But our kids will be there to take pictures with people, sign autographs, do a bingo about, and meet the people.
Will there
What
be a
day
chance for them to sing
That's
the
on
alma mater?
Wednesday.
I'm sure that we'll get some alma mater going.
Okay, that's good. They do such a nice
13th.
job.
Yep. And again, that's Wednesday, the 13th at 6:30. Thursday morning at 6:30 a.m., there's a district advisory committee. All of you are welcome at that if you want to get up a little early.
Who is it that attends?
It's supposed to be me, and I don't frequently make it. I need to get there.
Okay.
The city-county USD luncheon is on Wednesday, the 20th. The city is hosting that, in case any of you want to attend that. Margie, you nodding? Who else for the 20th?
Well, maybe, if I'm driving at that point, yes.
Okay,
Wednesday, the 20th at the city.
at the city at noon,
I should be there.
okay?
I should be too. I thought we were doing, wasn't the city doing a presentation or something?
On
They doing
water or
something on water.
Oh, is this the water one?
I thought if
the
this
water
is the
one?
water one, is more city-oriented.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought we weren't necessarily
we
attending.
weren't going to do the water
They were
one.
going to do the water one, so
Okay.
we might check about water.
I'll double check on
Water's
that.
important. Get me wrong.
We're not knocking the water,
That's
just,
right, they got issues. They got issues.
that's right.
All right, so check on the topic of that.
Yep, they were going to have a meeting about water.
Okay. Then Dr. Cobbs and I are attending a meeting at Future Visions on Monday, the 25th, and the Baker Teacher Career Day coming up the 28th. That pretty much gets us through the month. Any questions or anything on the announcements?
Today's date,
I think that's it.
25th.
All right,
Madam President, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
all right. Moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Ah, got it.
7-0.